Hello, everyone. It's Dr. Manjiri Nadkarni, Ayurvedic MD, registered holistic nutritionist, back today for the Saturday Expert Series. I'm just going to hang on a little bit till we have some people join us. And hopefully, we will have a lot of people join us because it's such an interesting topic. It's one topic that I think most of us are battling with at this point of time. And I have a really amazing expert today with us, with this Swati Mhaske, who's a very good friend of mine, who is an Ayurvedic doctor, and she is an expert with the emotional eating arena. She sees a lot of women, helps them with their health issues. So I'm super, super, super excited to invite Dr. Swati Mhaske. She's also a master's in pharmaceutical medicine. She's founder of Hemaveda. I can go on and on describing her. And she makes her own products, which I'm super proud of. So she has a product line. She makes her own products, and we're going to talk about those as well. So welcome, Swati. It's so amazing to have you here.
All right. Thank you, Manjiri. It is always a pleasure being here with you, chatting with these amazing topics. So, yeah, thank you so much. And I welcome you all.
Yeah. So with emotional eating, like I know I was good myself till about the COVID, but I think since September, things have been changing. And as we approach the holiday season, a lot of us can feel that underlying stress. For me, I think the stress comes from not traveling. Like this is the time I'm always, visiting my family in India. So not even being there is a little bit stressful. And most women that I work with can indulge, like, because they're not aware of their emotions, they end up relying on emotional eating.
Mhm.
So what is your take on the emotional eating aspect of it, or how can one understand, because sometimes you're not even aware but you start binging, right?
Yep.
So how does one become aware, or how do you kind of take care of the emotional eating?
Right. So that's a very good question. And everybody, like most of them, 80% of clients I see have this issue with their eating patterns. So, first, we have to understand what is a good hunger level. Okay. So, that is very important. Why do we get hungry? That is our basic question. Why do we get hungry? So, first is our physical needs, and the second is our emotional needs also, right? If we talk about the physical needs, we want to build our body, we want to work out with our stamina, we have to have the energy levels. So, all these things matter. That's why we eat. That's why human beings or any living being on this planet gets hungry to survive. Right? That is our basic survival instinct. Now, the second pattern, which is the psychological or the emotional eating, most of the time, emotions are attached to food. So when we say that emotions are attached to food, that means what? That means that we make the food tasty. We make or we add few things here and there, make it warm, and then we eat it. If you are given a very cold, dry kind of soup, which is just lying around on the counter, and you ate it, you feel bad, that you feel that, oh, there's something I don't want to eat. But somebody gives you a freshly served veggie soup or something like that, you will enjoy eating it, right? So there are emotions attached to our food. That is the important aspect to understand. Now, when these emotions are going through your mind, like, okay, I'm hungry, I came home tired, I want something warm and nice to eat, or maybe it's summer, I want a nice drink or something like that. So everything is attached to emotions. A human being, we are not animals, right? We don't graze on something just because for the sake of physical satiety of hunger. No, we eat because emotions are attached to our eating.
Mhm.
Now, when we go to this pattern, or when we start analyzing what is this emotional eating, right?
Mhm.
Emotional eating is also, I would relate it to binge eating also.
Mhm.
Because emotional eating, once you notice or once you start asking yourself questions like, okay, am I hungry really? I just had my food 1 hour before, I ate a very proper lunch, I just ate, and now I'm in a meeting stuck here with people I don't really like or something like that. What happens is, the first thing or first thought that comes to your mind, if it is food, instead of anything else, if any other strategy that you are thinking, maybe going for a walk, maybe having or maybe taking a break from the meeting or something like that, you're stuck there. And the first thing that comes to your mind is grabbing a cookie jar and eating it,
Mhm.
right? Why? Because you are trying to satisfy that emotion. When you start to feed those emotions, that is definitely an emotional eating pattern. If you're angry, if you're anxious, if you're fearful, and you're grabbing a cookie jar, if you're grabbing a pack of salty chips or something, whatever you like, snacking on it all day long, and then you lose the control completely, that is also emotional eating,
Mhm.
right? So you have to analyze, sit down first. If you are in this vicious cycle of eating, sit down first and on a piece of paper for a whole day, try to analyze these patterns. Like, okay, I ate at this time, I binged it that time, what was I watching, what am I thinking, why did I binge it, and all these things. For example, I would like to give an example of my client recently that I saw. She was addicted to chocolates. So she
Mhm.
used to purposely go to the market, grab chocolates, whatever she can find, bring them home, and she used to eat them. And the first time when I saw her, I told her, she said, the first thing you are going to say to me, Dr. Swati, is stop eating chocolates. That I'm not going to do. And I
Mhm.
said, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to tell you to analyze these patterns, write them down. How many chocolates did you eat? What was the timing of the chocolate? And let's work out with an Ayurvedic lifestyle with
Mhm.
this addiction. I'm not going to stop anything. You go ahead and grab any chocolates from the market you have and put them on the counter. And there we go. All these patterns, when she started respecting, when she started analyzing the digestive fire patterns, and when she is actually hungry, what she's putting in her stomach, everything mattered there. And now she is not even consuming. She goes into the market freely, happily saying, oh, I don't want any chocolates. Or maybe she'll grab one or two, and that's about it. Not a bunch of chocolates she's buying and she's eating them all in one go. So this is
Mhm.
very important. So this emotional eating patterns, it is associated with digestive fire. If
Mhm.
your digestive fire is not working well, that is the sign that you are in this vicious cycle of overeating.
Okay.
And overeating becomes emotional eating very, very soon. Like it becomes like, oh wow, this is my go-to relief funds kind of thing. I'm gonna go, I'm just going to eat these chocolates or whatever the snacks I want to, and there we go, I'm good now, I feel better. So the first 10 minutes is a rush of feeling better.
Mhm.
That is kind of pumping an adrenaline or something like that in the body, and it gives you a shot of saying, whoa, I felt better, thank god I ate those chocolates. But after half an hour, every person who is in this vicious cycle will notice saying that, why did I eat it?
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
I shouldn't have put that in my mouth, I shouldn't have done that, right? So this is exactly where your digestive fire is warning you, giving you the intelligence of telling you, don't eat that, that's junk food, that's bad for you, you're eating and you are overworking me. So one time what happens is there are levels of emotional eating. The first level is when you identify that you are eating for no reason, okay, and
Mhm.
you have it in control. But after few months or something, the control is lost, and then you climb up to the second level. In the second level, you are trying to reach for it, for a snack or something, even if when you are full, you are completely full, still you are experiencing is, I want that, I
Mhm.
want that. That's the thought of food, right?
Mhm.
And then if you continue doing that, the digestifier will still warn you over here. In the third stage, what happens is the digestifier also loses its control, right?
Mhm.
The digestifier stops responding to you, because this is psychological and physiological intelligence that we are talking about. What is digestifier? Digestifier is your psychological and physiological intelligence. When you lose that intelligence completely, you get to the third level, which is the third stage, where continuous food thought is running through your mind, continuously grabbing something is through your mind, continuously thinking about what is in my pantry, what can I eat, is in your mind, right? So this is a pattern of emotional eating.
Mhm.
And when you get to that pattern, you know that whatever you are eating or you're putting in your stomach may be a good food or bad food, but if it's erratic all day
Mhm.
long, if you're continuously eating and eating, the overworking digestive fire is going to stop working. right? And what is it going to do is it is going to turn that food into toxins. That we call it as ama in Ayurveda, right? Undigested material lying in your system. And that is exactly going to happen when you are putting overworking that digestive fire again and again. And this ama, when accumulates, it creates all kinds of diseases. Ama is the, I would say, the big alien spaceship where all the mother alien spaceship where all the diseases are coming out from, right? So it is very important to understand these patterns.
Okay. So, what are some causes that you see that people eat? You mentioned that, okay, stress or emotions is, one
Hmm.
thing, but in my practice, I also see some people eating really what they think is healthy,
Yep.
right? And
Hmm.
most people's perception of health is a salad, right?
Yes.
A whole salad, which
Hmm.
has lots of leafy greens. It necessarily shouldn't have any flavor because it's not
Hmm.
supposed to taste good.
Yep. Yep.
And they'll be on this health kick, they'll start juicing, and they'll do it for 2 weeks, and they're
Mhm.
like, I'm done, right?
Yep.
I don't want to
Yep.
eat healthy anymore. And
Yes.
that's when the cycle of binging starts. So the
Mhm.
emotions could be one thing, dietary issues could be one thing. What are
Mhm.
some other causes that you see in your practice that people emotionally eat?
Okay. So what is the main factor over here is lack of timetable,
Okay.
lack of maintenance of the circadian rhythms, right?
Okay.
The
Okay.
first thing most of the clients that I see, the first thing they indulge is a green smoothie in the morning, a
Yeah.
dense liquid of many things,
Yeah.
right? So for example, a very simple example if I want to give is, if suppose I give you an assignment, okay, I tell you, hey Manjiri, this is your assignment, you complete it. After 2 minutes I'll come up with something and I said, you know what, there are two more assignments for you, you know
Yeah.
what, there is three more assignments for you. Now Manjiri is confused, Manjiri doesn't know what is the priority,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that exactly happens when you indulge into a complex smoothie into your body, and that too nut butters which are very heavy to digest.
Yeah.
Then you get it as plant proteins and this and that, you put all these things what you cannot eat, what are inedible for you, you put it in those smoothies,
Yeah.
right? You
Yeah.
gulp them down with no emotions whatsoever, you gulp them down with your nose closed or something like that, like, oh my god, my nutrition intake for today is done,
Yeah.
right? I've drunk this smoothie, I'm done for the day, right? Now what happens to the digestive fire? Okay, now you have put down all this complex liquid of something sludgy mushy in your system in the morning, right? Morning is the time our circadian rhythm, or according to Ayurvedic dinacharya, it is our digestive fire grows with the fire or the intensity of the sun,
Mm-hmm.
right? In the morning it is very low, it is we have to kindle that agni, we have to kindle that fire, we have to gently stoke it. We don't have to put all these things over there and saying, whoo, whoo, my role is done, it's your turn, Mr. Digestive Fire. Now the digestive fire over here with those complex 5 or 6 things over here which are of different potencies, which are of different viryas, like they don't have they not necessarily match together, so they might be of opposite potencies. That is very important in Ayurveda, that hot and cold and all these things, they're inside. This digestive fire is thinking, oh, I'm going to take half an hour to digest this, maybe 2 hours to digest this, and one time it loses all these, like the grip of how to digest it. So what we are thinking is, we have put in all these smoothies and everything inside, now we are good to go, but the digestive fire is thinking completely opposite to it.
Mm-hmm.
If these were helping you, you shouldn't be having any kind of imbalances in your system. And that exactly happens. After some time you'll have bloating, after some time you'll feel lethargic, after some time you'll feel like I've lost interest in everything, after some time your tongue will be coated and you will not be hungry for the other meal, which is your lunchtime. This is going to happen for sure. And what happens in emotional eating, on top of this smoothie patterns, on top of bad eating right from the start of the day, it goes on and on, because you are going to go and face your job tension, stress, maybe some family matters or disputes or anything. On top of that, that sits on the digestive fire again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then what happens, the response is the digestive fire doesn't know what to do, it's erratic now. And when
Mm-hmm.
the digestive fire is acting erratic, you have the signs and symptoms exactly the same I've told you before. If you're lethargic, if you're not feeling well, if your tongue is coated, if you are feeling that I'm not hungry anymore for this meal because it irritates me, but I can snag because it just satisfies my emotional needs, that means you are in the vicious cycle and you have to back off.
Mhm.
You cannot just keep going, because binge eating is not just obesity. Binge eating is not just over gaining weight. Binge eating is killing your all emotional thoughts.
That's a very good point you mentioned. We have some viewers. So, for everybody that's watching live, the one thing is I want you to answer is, are you emotional eating? Like, do you indulge in emotional eating? And
Mm-hmm.
if so, what is the one thing you use constantly, right? Is it chocolate? Is it chips? Because we're going to talk more about it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the one of the biggest takeaways that, I am listening to you right now is food. Most of us perceive it as physiological, or I just eat to live, or there's no
Mm-hmm.
emotion in it, or I'm just eating healthy. And there are those types as well, or some people live to eat. So we have people on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
But eating is not just a physiological process as most people perceive. It's also a very psychological process.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're creating these dietary imbalances because of the different dietary trends that we see, and the trends are not always healthy. They're sold as health trends,
Yep.
right? Like smoothies, I'm a big anti smoothie person.
Me too.
So yeah, in Ayurveda nobody really likes smoothies, and there's nothing like an Ayurvedic smoothie. There's
Mm-hmm. Yep.
nothing exists as an Ayurvedic smoothie, which are also sold as Ayurveda. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so can you talk a little bit more about dietary imbalances and how they are formed, or
All
how
right.
people could be creating, imbalance in the kind of diet that they're creating for themselves, even though they think they're perfect nutritionally?
Right, right. So dietary imbalances, or what are the food combinations which are really good according to Ayurveda, right? Now, as we see, once you see an Ayurvedic expert, an Ayurvedic doctor, you know that he or she is going to tell you or give you a list of food combinations where he will say, if you're consuming this, ma'am, you have to stop it. If you're consuming food, fruits and milk together, maybe some kind of dairy and fruits together, it's a bad idea. And even the smallest concept of mixing fruit and dairy together,
Hmm.
it startles them.
Yeah.
They say is, oh, there are so many yogurt and over the counter where there are literally fruits given on the top of it, and you mixed it with the yogurt and you eat it first thing in the morning. And with my experience, I have 3 or 4 clients of mine who exactly had this issue. They used to mix yogurt and dairy, and they used to eat it like 3 or 4 times a day, thinking that they are taking care of the calcium intake, and also by indulging the fruits, they are also taking all kinds of vitamin and everything from the fruits. But they ended up into skin diseases,
Hmm.
right? Unknown skin diseases, where they came to me with big files and reports and this and that, undiagnosed. The doctors don't know what to do now, right? And I asked them whether this was the factor, and they said yes, this was. Of course we ate this because this is kind of staple food here, right? We ate it. And drinking, like suppose you are having lunch, the first thing what I want you to be very very vigilant about is awareness of what you are eating, right?
Hmm.
You can set a timer or something like that in your phone, or on your computer, or wherever there are reminders saying that this is lunchtime, this is breakfast time. Even if, like, if you are stuck in a meeting or something, you have to look at your food and see, is there anything imbalanced over here? What am I really eating more? And
Hmm.
in my plate, is the rice more? Is the wheat, the bread is more? The amount of vegetables is more? Nothing is in excess quantity is will never work for you. So always be aware of what dietary imbalances we are really consuming. Dietary imbalances can be focused on what amount of food you're eating, what type of food you're eating, and also what time of food, what is
Hmm.
the time that you're consuming that food. It
Hmm.
matters a lot, because when your digestive fire is going to, just like the gallbladder, it squirts out the bile, because to really help with digestion, right?
Hmm.
There are timings that the bile is being squirted. right? So it will squirt. If you are eating a lot of fatty meal or something with lots of fats in it, it's going to squirt more, right?
Mhm.
So this timing is related to the timing what you are putting in your mouth. it
Mhm.
it is all about the timing. If you at all, I always tell my people who come with intense amount of cravings, and I tell them is, when you are sitting down, you don't have to stop eating. Like if you like chips, I would say take 4 or 5 chips in your plate. Okay, when you are eating, maybe that crunch will satisfy your intensity or make you a little stable because you had it.
Mhm.
But you, if you keep on running it, after a few months or something, if there is an intense situation going on in your life, you are prone to come back and eat more and more and more. Instead, have a pattern. You
Mhm.
don't have to stop anything. You don't have to stop eating candies or stop eating chocolates or stop eating snacks or anything. That is very hard for many people to act practically on all of these factors. So what you can do is go with a simplistic solution. Don't overrun yourself, because you will get into a bad kind of emotional turnout, which is that, okay, hell with everything, I'm gonna go and eat, I don't like it, I don't like that. The more you restrict yourself, the more you are going to indulge, or you are throwing yourself into the emotional crisis. So don't do that. It is very, very important. The dietary imbalances come from here. After that, understanding of food combinations. But
Mhm.
to get into that, an Ayurvedic expert can guide you through that. What are good food combinations for you? Maybe you are Vata dominant, maybe you are Pitta dominant, maybe you are Kapha dominant. The food combinations will be very different for you, the three of them.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out, because even in the Ayurvedic world, I see people take the printed sheets of the good and the bad combinations,
Mm-hmm.
and just because they are not combining it the wrong way, they'll still stick to their
Mm-hmm.
green juices or smoothies. They're like, oh, I just blend it and I put a little bit of turmeric and pineapple and mix
Mm-hmm.
it together,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep. Yep.
So they might not be adding the dairy along with the pineapple, but still they are like totally throwing their body off.
Right.
And that is the one, like, that's a amazing point, that the dietary combinations are going to be as per your prakruti. They're not always just going to be according to a book that's telling you that combine this, combine that,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes. That is very important, because many people come with a big spreadsheet or something from pointing out, okay, I'm been following this. I've been following this. I tell people is, what is important when you read a blog or if you watch a video, an informative video or something, your constitution is very different than what you say, like I am Vata and I should follow this. An
Mhm.
Ayurvedic expert has been trained into this. For
Yeah.
years and years of experience, he or she will tell you what is really good for you, what kind of milk is good for you. If you're right now, nut milk is a big thing, right? People are they want to be they are dairy intolerant, so they go for the nut milk. And what they think is drinking a glass of nut milk or drinking any kind, or putting that nut milk into smoothies and everything, it's going to balance everything. But now you should always remember, related to diet, that only your handful of nuts is good in a overall day if you are living in a cold climate.
Mhm.
Okay? If you are living in a climate where there is constantly hot weather or something, these handful of nuts are going to create a lot of heat in your body. You don't need it, right? So again, this matters. So if the blog is telling you to eat nuts, you shouldn't go crazy about the nuts, because you don't know how your digestive fire is working or not. If the digestive fire is not working properly and you're putting a, one glass, like suppose we consider like a 4 to 8 ounce glass of nut milk, there are at least 30 to 40 almonds that go in, 30 to 40 nuts that go in, and imagine how much heat it is going to create if you are indulging that nut milk, right? So it is very important to be vigilant that what you are putting, what you are doing in your when you are eating. Okay, this is I'm eating, this is I'm eating, this is I'm eating. Okay, let's change this pattern a little bit. Don't be consistent with it, but have an Ayurvedic expert to guide you through this all. Okay.
Mhm. That's, the one thing that one of my memories is, growing up, we never had peanut butter, right? I
Nope.
didn't even eat peanuts because, in my home, everybody's pitta dominant. So we had
Yes.
tougher pitta types, so my mom
Mhm.
was pretty much pitta dominant, and
Mhm.
we just couldn't handle the peanuts. But
Mhm.
then the moment people would travel from the US, or they would get like jars of peanut butter as a gift, which was never
Yep.
found in India. And now it's
Yep.
so common, it's in everybody's home. Like, it's a
It is.
shock to see that. And
Mm-hmm.
the Indian hot climate, the hot humidity of
Yes.
Mumbai,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe, even like
Everywhere we would say.
like
Yep.
any part of Maharashtra, like it
Mm-hmm.
is hot in India
Yep.
in most places.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're gulping down spoonfuls of peanut butter, so that's totally provoking this pitta. It's dampening your agni as well.
Mm-hmm.
And these are certain considerations you should have, like what is the place, what is the time, what is the season, how
Yep.
cold it is. So it's not just about what you eat, but when, what
Where
time,
you are.
what quality,
Mm-hmm.
so this all has to be looked upon for sure,
Yep.
yeah. So if one is identifying that, okay, I am an emotional eater,
Uh-huh.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
what can they do to combat it?
Okay, that's a very good question. So first of all, on a page, on a pen, take a pen and a paper. Okay, write down your timetable for a week. What you are eating on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday until Friday. On Saturday and Sunday, analyze that. If there are binge eating problems, like I told you, level 1, level 2, or level 3, wherever you are, you have to identify that problem and accept it. That yes, I am binge eating. Yes, I am eating when I'm not supposed to eat. Right? Once you know that this is the problem, I would highly recommend for that person to seek an expert's help, where she or he will guide her through the process of not indulging more and more, not going through that path more and more, and taking a reverse back. Instead of stopping, instead of figuring out by yourself, saying, you know what, I'm just going to stop eating this and I'm going to control myself. Life is, the thing is, you haven't changed anything in your lifestyle which you were doing wrong because you couldn't identify it. What you identified was that yes, I am eating a lot of chips and I'm going to stop it. Okay, so that is not going to help. Just stopping or just bringing those chips is not going to help, because you will relapse in some months. You,
Mhm.
because all the other routine is not good. Maybe you're sleeping at 12 or 1. Maybe you are lunch patterns are not consistent. The only thing that you have stopped, you think, is you have stopped the bringing of chips or eating the chocolates and everything. That is not going to help. This is an overall process. This is not something where you say is, okay, stop this, replace this, stop this, replace this. You can't do that. All of a sudden, something, some people tell you, oh, you know what, instead of potato chips, use kale chips. For 1 or 2 days you will be happy, but will they be good as potato chips? No. You are really hooked on the potato chips. All of a sudden you stop it, you try to replace it with many other food items. It is not going to help. What is going to help is to be aware of what you are eating and noticing the problem, getting into an expert's help, which who will analyze your problem properly, who will analyze what dosha dominance you are in, and then make a timetable out of it and help you slowly come out of that vicious cycle. You cannot abruptly change the patterns by thinking, I have to stop eating the chips by just throwing that bag away. It's not going to help in that way. This is a
Mhm.
very very different cycle that you are into, and you feel that you are very strong enough that you will combat this in this pattern, but your digestifier is not yet ready to do that. Your digestifier will still give you that alerts saying, you're hungry, you need chips, you're hungry, you need chips, all these things. And when you are in an emotional turmoil, when you are thinking that, whoa, this was bad, or somewhere you got hurt or something, you will 100% reach out to the bag of chips again. Okay, so this is a pattern that you have to understand. The other thing what I would say is, over here, is mindful eating. Very
Mhm.
very important. Ayurveda's emphasis is on mindful eating. When we talk about mindful eating, what is it? What is mindful eating? That means using your mind while you are eating.
Mhm.
What does that mean? That means not surfing through social media, not looking at the television, or a distraction while you are eating. You do that one day, one experiment. You sit down on your sit. I would say sit down. It's the proper way to eat. Sit down. Keep your plate on the ground. Okay, and sit down and start eating with your mindfulness. Okay, what happens is when you will eat, you will notice that there is one point where your digestive fire will give you an indication, maybe with a burp or maybe without a burp, where it will say, I'm full.
Mhm.
Okay, that point 100% comes when you identify that point that, okay, I think I'm done. Keep that plate as it is, even if there is food in that plate. Take that plate, keep it in the kitchen, cover it. That's it. Drink a sip of water, and there we go. Okay, you have to break that pattern and understand it, like how much I am eating. Overeating 95% happens because you are distracted while eating.
Mhm.
Even it is happening with kids. So if you have kids, if you have younger ones at home, tell them, like iPads and phones, and you are just feeding them. You notice the pattern when you are not, when they are not doing all of these things, they will tell you one time, mommy, I'm hungry, mommy,
Mhm.
I'm done. So that is when their mindfulness starts.
Mhm.
That is exactly how our mindfulness, we are, our system is already set up. We are
Mhm.
born like that way, but we try to disrupt that pattern, that setup very easily with all the social media. And all of a sudden, what happens is social media or any kind of distraction creates a very different pattern in your mind, in your
Yeah.
body,
Yeah.
saying that, that was not bad, oh, that was really good, or maybe you're very happy. It's not always related to sadness or depression. Binge eating or emotional eating is also related to over happiness or joy. So it is
Yeah.
always that, oh my god, let me grab a bowl of ice cream because I'm so happy, I need
Yeah.
to treat myself.
Celebration, right? A celebration with
Yes.
food.
So, yes, once in a while it is okay. You can celebrate with food. Your digestive fire is not going to kick you off or say, like, whoa, what is that? No, it will go into that disruptive pattern. But if you are very good in maintenance of Ayurvedic lifestyle, Ayurvedic diet, it is going to accept that. It is going to say, okay, once in a while, if even if she is binge eating once in a while, it is fine. She has some friends over, she's not sleeping well, she's eating, there are erratic patterns going on. In a week you will suffer, will have that. After a week you will be fine. Okay,
Yeah.
so understanding this is very, very important.
Mhm.
Overeating or binge eating associated with all of these factors. Mindfulness, what are you putting instead of spoons and forks? Use your hands to grab the food. Look at the texture and then put it in your mouth.
Mhm.
This is my guru used to say, this is self nurturing. What we are doing, this is self care, that what we are doing, we are feeding ourselves, right?
Mhm.
What do we really, for a human being, what is important is food, shelter,
Mhm.
right? Very, very important. So that's why we need food for survival. So why not giving it complete attention for those 15-20 minutes? What you need, if you can completely take a break from something and if you can achieve it, do it. Many of my clients have made that. They have put it in a reminder wherever it is possible, from 12 to 2, wherever there is possible, they have put a reminder saying, this is my lunchtime, I need those 20 minutes. And
Yeah.
that exactly, I've done it with my husband also. If he's working constantly, no time, I tell him, you have to pause for 20 minutes. They cannot give you 20 minutes for eating. How are
Yeah.
you supposed to eat? Talk, eat, do
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
This is not
Yeah.
eating. Then don't eat
Yeah.
completely. So it is very important. Awareness, mindfulness, very important.
Yeah. And see, this is amazing because, multitasking is a myth, right?
Mhm.
I think that you do
Yep.
too many things imper imperfectly or just for the sake of doing those, right? Because your mind cannot do five things at a time.
No.
And especially with eating, the very act of nurturing yourself or self-care, if
Yeah.
you are distracted, like
Hmm.
it's not even going to help you. You're not going to secrete digestive enzymes, on a physiological level. You're
No.
not going to get those satiety cues. You're not going to understand when to stop. You're not
Yep.
going to understand what you need. Is it cold? Is it hot? It is digesting. And then
Hmm.
the cravings set in. And even
Yep.
in my own practice, when I'm in the clinic, half an hour, I'll just take a break and
Hmm.
nobody can disturb me then. Like I'll go, it takes
Yes.
me 10-15 minutes to warm my food in
Yep.
this, like,
Hmm.
we don't do any microwaves. We have like a toaster oven where I
Right.
put a glass jar with all the food,
Yes.
let it warm.
Yes. Hmm.
Yeah, and then eat it. So, no, these are things that need to be talked about. So,
Yep.
can you tell us, like, thank you for answering all my questions. Can you tell me a little bit more about you and your practice and
Hmm.
how you support women with emotional eating?
Yes, thank you for asking this. So, for me, what important is when I focus on a patient, when I see a client, that client is kind of a family to me. It's immediately like a family to me. I take it as if that I am going through that kind of emotional disturbance or whatever she is going through all throughout her day, right? Maybe her kids are not listening, maybe it's a very chaotic environment in her house, maybe she is working hard to work or her on her job and things like that, her routines are very chaotic. I have one nurse,
Mhm.
who's my client right now. She came into, she has she's seeing me since 3 months, and when she came to me, it was exactly what she was doing, binge eating.
Mhm.
Why? Because right now, because of this COVID situation, they have to be traveling, they have to go from places to places to run some tests and things like that, and there are less jobs, so the stress is piling up. Already she has to work, she has daughters who has she has to take care of. All these things, when they start to pile up and when they start to accumulate, your body does not take it anymore, and then your body shows the signs of inflammation, right? All these exact symptoms were check, 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 check when she came to me. Now, can I tell her that, okay, you have to quit your job and sit at home to follow an Ayurvedic lifestyle? I cannot. I cannot, because it's her livelihood. She cannot survive without that job, right? She has to work and maintain an Ayurvedic lifestyle. So I have given her many kinds of ideas, many kinds of you would say, how to pack your lunches, how to prepare for your lunches, how to prepare for your dinner, how you can involve your family whenever you can to help you in the kitchen or something like that, or maybe some any kind of house chores or something. So you have to tell, or you have to go with the pattern what that person is going through. Because for us, even if I am told, and I have a newborn with me, I have been told, okay, you have to do this no matter what, I cannot do it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then Ayurvedic lifestyle becomes overwhelming, because that's how
Yeah.
you have read in the blogs, that's
Yeah.
how you have read everywhere in the books, like, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that. What about the jobs and what about the scenarios that you are surrounded with, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that is where Ayurveda and an expert plays a role. For me, this becomes a family. I am giving them constant reminders.
Yeah.
Hey, XYZ, how are you doing? How are you? And they will tell me a problem for that day. They will, exactly when they vent out that problem to me, I make sure that they get an answer. Either I give them a call, either I text them, either I work with them. I say to them, okay, today you ate two candies, it's fine. It's
Mhm.
fine. You can go along with the day. Tomorrow we'll try our best again. Okay.
Mhm.
So you have to motivate them. You have to remind them. And that is my main goal, to be with those people as a family, as
Mhm.
if they are my kids, as if they're my sisters, as if I know them from past lives or something. But they become a family to me, and that this is a constant reminder that we have to give. You cannot read a blog, you cannot just follow something and say, you know what, I'm throwing all the chips away from my home today. Today I'm going to throw away my cookies from the home. No, in 2 weeks you are going to bring them again, right? You have to set a pattern with kids, with you, no matter what.
Mhm. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, where can people find you?
Oh, yes. So they can go on my website, www.hemaveda.com. I have a Facebook page where we have shared our information. So it's Hemaveda and Ayurvedic Healing for Happy and Healthy Life. That
Okay.
is my page. And you can also follow on my Instagram. You can subscribe to my newsletter by going on my website. And you can always reach out to me through my phone number, which is on my Google business page.
Okay, perfect. So I have shared your website here.
Oh,
So
thank you.
anybody that wants to, look for you for sure, they can reach you via via your website. Thank you so much for answering all these questions, and I'm glad everybody who's seeing this video doesn't have to throw the chips. Like I love chips, and I have them
I
often.
know.
And I
Yes.
love chips. I just can't live
Mhm.
without. But you know where to stop. You can have them in moderation. So you don't have
Yes.
to give up your chocolates or chips completely and go cold
Yes.
turkey, but you can really try
Hmm.
to, retrain your brain and make
Yes.
sure you're working with your natural cycles, your circadian rhythms. Thank you
Yes.
once again for joining us and hope to see you soon in the new year. Thank
Hmm.
you once again.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone. And I'm wishing you happy holidays and a very happy new year. If you have questions, if you don't want to set up an appointment or anything, there are no obligations. But if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me. I
Yeah,
love to answer questions. I will make sure that you get your answers. Okay. And thank you, Manjiri. Thank you, Dr.
you're most
Manjiri.
welcome.
Always a pleasure. And
Thank you.
thank you for doing all of this for all of us.
Oh, thank you. It's fun for me, so I like to do what I call.
It is helping many people.
Yeah, thank
All
you.
right. Thanks. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.